Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Audio Stew. Thank you for joining us today as I will be talking with three of my close friends about a topic we are all very familiar with. The three of us were all homeschooled growing up, and we really wanted just to share our life experiences in regards to that area of our life, in addition to maybe addressing some misconceptions about homeschooling and really overall just giving you guys a better picture of what it means to educate at home. So, without further ado, let's get rolling. Hey guys, this is Kurt here. I'm back with another episode of Audio Stew. Today we've got another awesome topic for you. We're going to be talking about growing up homeschooled and sort of all the different nuances with that. I've got three people with me today, so this is big. This is most people I've ever had before, so hopefully it goes well. To get things started, we're gonna introduce ourselves. Why don't we go? Ben, you go first. I want a lot from you. Okay, this has to be a good introduction. Okay, so we're gonna go with your name, your age, like your job, your future goals, and then I'm going to give you a randomly generated thing, and you'll have to say your favorite. It'll make more sense when we get there. But just for now, let's introduce yourself, Ben.
Okay, so my full name is Benjamin David Jansen. I'm 20 years old, just turned this past March. And currently I am a student of UNL. So that's my full-time job. But because of coronavirus, I'm at home doing that. And then during the summer, last summer and then this summer, I will work as a apprentice electrician, stringing wires, putting in outlets, that sort of thing. Pretty good. Haven't shocked myself yet, so I'm glad of that.
That's good.
And then for future goals, I'd like to get married, start a family, graduate with a bachelor's degree in science. Let's see, I'd like to work in the natural resources, working with native prairies and native plants, and follow God the rest of my life.
Awesome, dude. You've got your whole life planned out there. That's great. So I have this is how we're going to get to really know you, Ben, is I have a random noun generator. And so I'm going to give you a random noun, and you have to tell me what your favorite is of this noun.
Should I be scared?
Yeah, because some of these don't make any sense, but you have to come up with a way for it to make sense. So, what is your favorite method, Ben?
I like to open the package. I like to take out the chocolate chips. I like to put them in my hand, put them in my mouth, and then eat them as they melt.
How to eat chocolate chips. Nice. Good method. Tabor and Matthew, you guys, it's your turn. I don't care which one of you goes first.
Oh dear. I guess I'll go first then. My name's Matthew Glenn. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently working at Subway and Pizza Hut, both supposed to be part-time jobs, and kind of working for future goals. I'm kind of working on potentially starting my own animation studio. Not completely sure how that's going to go, but we'll find out. Still learning how to do it and stuff. So, and then hopefully at some point get married and have a full-time career with that, and it'll be great.
Okay. Your random noun is outcome. What is your favorite outcome?
When I get a lot of really good things or compliments, or I just do something right in general, which some people would say that doesn't happen often, but don't listen to them.
Your favorite outcome is doing well.
Yes. That's the short.
All right, that's fair.
Like that.
That's fair.
But Matthew, that
Success.
means you have to work, and because the only time that success comes before work is in the dictionary. So you better get to it.
Hmm. That's possible. You got to consider
I
that.
just told everybody where
It's still his favorite,
I
though,
work.
regardless of the method,
Yeah.
which, according to Ben, is to eat chocolate chips and something like that. Um, so, Tabor, your turn.
All right. My name is Tabor Glenn, Matthew's younger brother, um, and I'm 20 years old, and I work at the Central City Mall. Guess where that is? And for future goals, don't really have much at this point. Just kind of at some point start a family. As far as work, I think I could probably pretty much be happy anywhere as long as I'm
Hmm.
working with people. But
All right, Tabor, your random noun is construction. What's your favorite construction?
um, I I quite like human beings. I think when God constructed them, He did a fantastic job. So
There you go.
that's that's my thing, I guess.
There you go. Awesome. Wow, you guys did way better than that. I'm okay. So just to keep things fair, I'm gonna also say my favorite noun. I got permission. What? What am I supposed to do with that? Um, my favorite permission is was when I was younger, and I asked my mom whether or not I could have a friend over for a sleepover, and she said yes. So there we go. Yeah, so I've brought all of you guys on because we share many things in common. Uh,
Mainly that we were
Taylor
homeschooled.
Matthew, say what?
Mainly that we were homeschooled.
Yes, mainly that we are homeschooled. Uh, yeah, so Tabor, Matthew, and I have been friends for a long time. We did a lot of homeschool stuff together. And then Ben and I have also been friends for a very long time. Not as much in elementary. We were the Awana rivals in elementary. And then along comes junior high and high school. And now he's in the Three Amigos clan with John Dockweiler and I. So we're pretty tight. But yeah, the main reason, as Matthew mentioned, is all three of us were homeschooled at some point in our lives. Ben and I went to the same high school, which was not homeschool, but we'll get to that. Um, but because all of us were homeschooled, I really wanted to just give some other people kind of perspective on that. I think homeschooling is not as uncommon or unheard of as it used to be. And so I think people are a lot more aware of kind of what goes on when you're homeschooled, but still for those who do not know or for those who were homeschooled and want some more perspective, I suppose. It's kind of why we're doing this today. So well, I guess we'll just see how it goes. We're going to start with describing your life growing up as a homeschooler. And to do that, I think we actually have to start with our families because in a lot of ways, those are like kind of our teachers or our like classmates. So I want to know what's your guys' family like? Sort of like the number of people in your family. Do y'all get along? Uh, what kind of unites you guys? Like, do you go to church? Are you into sports? Do you have some hobbies you enjoy together? Just give us a basic outline of what your family is like.
So are we gonna follow the order? Ben goes first, then me, then Tabor, probably.
We're, if you want to, we can. Otherwise, just popcorn. You know, if you're feeling up for it,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, obviously Tabor and I are brothers, so we kind of shared the same life and stuff, same
Mm-hmm.
parents and so forth. Um, our mom and dad have been Christians as long as I know, and they raised us in, obviously a Christian home. And So yeah, we went to church every Sunday, and Dad would, uh, well, Mom and Dad both tried to teach us as much as they could about the Bible and about God, and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we get along pretty well. We're a really close family. We all love each other very much, and we pick on each other, of course, but it's all good natured, and we all know that we all love each other really a lot. So we got each other's backs, in other words.
How big is your family?
There's Mom and Dad, and then 4 kids, and then Tabor and me, Rainy and Cody.
Okay, so you have 4 kids total,
Yep.
right? Okay, gotcha. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll have to talk about that. Tabor, is there anything else you want to add to Matthew's description?
Well, as far as how well we get along, uh, Matthew and I used to really not, but yeah, now we're pretty much best of buds. So at this point,
Gotcha.
we get along well, which is good because we're renting a house together. So that would be kind of miserable if
Yeah,
we didn't get along. At that point, we'd probably
yeah,
just go our separate ways, dude.
yeah. um, what? I mean, we might talk about this more later, but like, how much of a dynamic did that play into being homeschooled when you're younger, kind of being a little bit of at odds with each other?
um, it kept things interesting. I'll just, yeah, not in a good way. We get along sometimes, but especially in our younger years, middle school and stuff. Once we kind of reached high school, then we started to really bond and stuff and get along a lot better. But especially in middle school, we'd uh, sometimes have a little trouble focusing because we'd get into arguments or something, or whatever, and so it probably caused some problems with our focusing. But Mom was a good teacher and made sure that we knew that if we didn't get it done at a decent time, we'd have to stay there until we got it done. So, yeah. But
So, do you think that created some a little bit of like almost a were you guys ever competitive as far as like who was better at doing their homework?
oh yeah,
I guess.
all the time.
Okay,
I would guess we probably were. Matthew tends to remember things like that better than I do,
I see.
because he's older, so he remembers ancient history.
Gotcha. Ben, what about you? What's your family like?
Well, so very similar to yours. Church every Sunday. Also, during the fall, spring, and winter, church every Wednesday. Also, my parents sent me to Awana. Started off with Cubbies, and then through Sparks and TNT, and also with my sister, and then like youth group, and then helped as a leader in Sparks 3 years. So church had a big place in our life, going twice a week, and then also having family devotions with my mom, and then night Bible readings when we were younger. Our dad would read like more of like a storybook Bible, or my mom would. I would go to bed, um, and so that's kind of some of the background. And as for interests we share, we have a lot of interests, but not all of them are shared by all four of us. Like for
Mm-hmm.
instance, I'm into storms and weather. My sister's not, but
Yeah.
all of us, actually, come to think of it, are interested in music, either playing an instrument or singing. And
Mm-hmm.
then as for the size of my family, it's just four of us: my dad, my mom, and then I myself, and then my younger sister Olivia.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say that actually. I was like, what do the Jansons all love? And I'm like, I was gonna say music and gardening. Those were the two things I thought of.
Well,
Which
what
I don't know if that's totally accurate, but
those are those are the sides you've mostly seen of me, but that is accurate. My mom definitely loves it. My sister has grown into it, and my dad
Mm-hmm.
also enjoys it. But then there's other differences. Like me and my dad like football, but my sister, really doesn't like football. Mom not really interested. Um,
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
like that. But yeah.
Gotcha. Taylor, Matthew, did you have something you wanted to say as far as interests? I don't know if you got interrupted or anything like that, or if you're good.
No.
Well, we like to sit around the table and play a board game once in a while. We used to play a lot of like really long games, primarily on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday afternoons, um, and things like Monopoly or Rail Baron or Farming Game, things like that. We always enjoyed playing those games as a family here. So that was fun. And of course, when we were younger, then Matthew and I had the common interest of fighting, so but we grew
There you
out
go.
of that. So, well, now I guess it's more good-natured fighting, but we still fight.
Okay, I got you. You gotta, your brothers, you're super close in age. You gotta keep each other in check and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so the main reason I kind of asked the question about family, like I said, is just because homeschooling is generally a very, very like tight knit thing within your family. Like it sort of affects a lot of how your family even works, like in just family dynamics and stuff.
Mhm.
Who all was homeschooled in your guys' family, and for how long?
Um, Me, I started homeschooling and from first grade on, which actually kind of a funny story. I was doing kindergarten at Christian school, and
Mm-hmm.
the very last day, I told one of my friends that I'd made at kindergarten, "See you next year," and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm actually gonna be homeschooled." And so that just kind of stuck with me. I'm like, hey, that may be kind of fun, homeschooling. I hadn't thought of that before. So then at some point in the summer, I was just randomly thinking about that. And I'm like, hey, Mom, what do you think about homeschooling? And she's like, I was actually gonna at some point talk to you guys about that and see what your opinion on that was. And I'm like, I'm cool. You said you guys. Was I around at that time? I mean, obviously, I would have been like in existence, but I don't remember that at all. Yeah, I think you're around, but you're little enough. You probably weren't. You know. But
You're
so
you're old
You
enough to
probably weren't in
understand,
school
but
quite yet.
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't
you
have been
were
in
like
school, so why would she have been planning to talk to us
well.
about it?
I mean, probably you for future reference in terms of
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
I
or
don't know.
or
Anyway.
maybe she did just say me and didn't really care about you. But I mean,
So wait. So since then, has your entire family been homeschooled like
All the way
all
through.
school years?
all the way through high school, we
Yep.
all graduated from homeschooling. I was the
Well,
only
all
one that
two of us
actually.
that have graduated.
Yeah, Brandy and Cody are still in
Yeah.
school, but I'm the only one that actually went to a quote unquote regular school.
Yeah,
Um,
you went to kindergarten,
Preschool and
Christian school.
kindergarten. That's about it.
There you go.
So,
Nice.
yep.
Ben, what about you?
Um, so I was homeschooled basically as soon as I started school. I never went to Christian school or public school early on. It was mom just
Okay.
straight away put me in homeschooling, and then that continued all the way up until the start of my fifth grade year. Um,
Okay.
and so right about September, I was put in a Lutheran school in Hampton, and then my sister, similar story for her. She right into homeschool with her, and then right up until the her third grade year, which was my fifth grade year, we were both put into Lutheran school uh, in September, a little bit after the school year had started, but then we were in. So just really, for me, elementary was how long I homeschooled.
Okay. Gotcha. For reference, as far as myself goes, so my family has kind of done. We've done a lot of like everything, sort of. My two oldest siblings, I don't actually remember off the top of my head whether or not they were ever homeschooled. Um, but my two of my older sisters were homeschooled several years. Pretty much in general, my family has been homeschooled throughout all of most of elementary and kind of a little bit of either part-time stuff like in junior high or maybe 1 or 2 years in high school. We've kind of jumped back and forth between like going to uh like a private school and being homeschooled. That's kind of what we've done. Me personally, I so like Matthew, I went to private schools, preschool and kindergarten. Then I was homeschooled all of elementary and did like and even into junior high. But I did like a co-op my last or my 8th grade year that I was homeschooled. Um, have any of you guys done a co-op at all, or do you know what that is?
Yep,
Nope.
I've been a part of co-op.
I know what you're referring to, but we've never done it ourselves.
Okay.
It was just homeschooling. What's a co-op?
Ben, you were in a co-op?
Yeah, actually, kind of two. One
Okay.
in Stromsburg that was kind of like a art PE one. Um,
Okay.
I think Matthew and
Yeah.
Tabor, I think you guys went to that one, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we went to that too. That's actually where we met you first. Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of loosely a co-op, but then before that
I
one,
don't know
down
if that counts.
in a small town called Stockham, there was a home
Mm-hmm.
co-op that would meet in like fall and spring, and for like 6 weeks each time. And there'd be various classes like music, cooking. There's like a Spanish class, an English class, history. So
Mm-hmm.
I was part of that a few years. I'm not sure how many years. I'd say maybe something like 2 or 3.
Gotcha. So the co-op that I did was classical conversations. So that was a pretty structured one. So that was like every Friday we would meet during the school year. And so we had a lot of curriculum that you would do on your own at home, in addition to like, whatever your mom or your teacher, maybe unless you're, did your guys' dads ever do anything related to homeschooling?
No.
Not really for us.
Okay.
He'd help us with the more difficult problems, like especially in math, that like mom couldn't really
But he
help us
wasn't
with.
ever like teaching
Yeah,
directly.
not really. Just kind of helped us
Okay.
when we needed it more than anything else. But yeah.
Anyway, so what I was saying basically is that so like once a week you'd meet and you'd have like an instructor at the co-op who's usually just the mom or the dad of another homeschool family who also went to the co-op, and they would teach on a subject, and it was kind of just like a really unique like community way of doing homeschool. So anyway, that's a little bit of a uh, bunny trail there, but just a unique perspective that I had. Um, I'm curious to know though, for each of you guys, why did your family decide to homeschool? Matthew, you said your mom had been asking, kind of talking to you kids like at a young age about it, but yeah, why did you guys decide homeschool?
I think it was mostly because, like for me, um, when I was in kindergarten, I was more interested in visiting with friends and being with friends than I was really about learning the curriculum. And so I think it was partially because mom thought that I'd be able to focus better if I wasn't in a big crowd of people that
I
would
see.
distract me and stuff. Um,
I know I had to sit in a lot in recess because I wasn't doing the work that I was supposed to, so I'd have to do it during recess and stuff. So I think that was probably the biggest reason. Also, I think mom and dad were just wanting to try to find a slightly, hopefully, cheaper way of teaching us because I think they were starting to get to the point they couldn't necessarily afford to keep sending us to a private school and stuff. So, but I think it's mostly just so I can focus better. I'm not sure completely, but at least what I've got anyway is I think that it was primarily just like so that they could teach us directly and help us directly make sure that we understand it completely instead of like a teacher whose attention would be divided. So like for me anyway, it worked really really well because I felt like I was able to ask a question if I had a question, and it wasn't so much like I'm not sure I guess how a normal classroom would work, but a teacher maybe wouldn't have quite as much time to devote to a single student. And there were some subjects that I did really well on, and so I didn't necessarily need a lot of help, but there were other subjects that it was kind of nice to have mom around and she could help me pretty much whenever I needed it. So
yeah, for sure. Ben, sorry, you go ahead.
Well, for reasoning, I'm not completely sure. Um, one, I think this is, I'm pretty sure about this one is that, like my mom didn't want to put us in the public schools because of like how big a city we were in, because I was born in Chicago and lived in a suburb of Chicago, and so I don't think my mom really wanted to like stick me in the public school system there and put my sister in that system either. Uh, so I think
How
that was
sorry,
that was the
how
part.
old were you guys when you moved to Nebraska?
I was 7, and my sister
Okay.
was going to be 5.
So you only homeschooled like a couple years in Chicago.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, only a couple years.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, so I think that would be one of the drivers. And what's kind of interesting is my mom was a teacher in like a Lutheran school and had been like a teacher aide in the public school system. And so I guess I'm not sure how that influenced her choice, and I'm not quite sure how she learned about homeschooling either. But I think that's kind of one of the main reasons. And then I'm also glad she did, because when I was younger, I was uh, kind of more distracted, like by TV, or like stubborn, didn't want to read. I was a little more, I was less focused on my homework when I was younger, and so I'm glad, like in homeschool, I wasn't put into public school quite yet because I might have been labeled like stubborn and problematic.
Yeah.
And then in homeschool, I had a little more space to explore the outdoors, and then kind of and then catch up.
Yeah, my family, the biggest reason is my parents sort of had a turnaround um in their life where they became like completely devoted to following like they grew up like in church, both of my parents, but they weren't ever really committed to that. So then later on when they got married, they weren't really living out like necessarily a Christian life. um, and then there's big change that happened in my family where now suddenly that was their major motivation, was wanting to follow the Bible and follow Christ well. And a big part of that was not wanting us to be exposed to a lot of the junk that's in public schools. Not saying, you know, all public schools are bad or something like that. Like I personally can't speak to how good of an education you can get at public school because I was never in a public school. I've only been homeschooled and in a private school. So, but just the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of people in public schools who come from a lot of different backgrounds. A lot of times in a private school, you get a certain type of community and you have maybe slightly more control over, you know, who's going to be interacting with your kids and stuff. Public school is just everyone. So my parents didn't necessarily want us kids exposed to exposed to everyone. So that's kind of, I think that's the main reason why my family chose that route, and I'd assume that at least played in somewhat to all of you guys as well.
Yeah, I think to a point. Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably assume so. I haven't heard it, but I do get how homeschool kind of helps you avoid some of those things because you don't have to be afraid of being in public school, but there's nothing wrong in learning things till you're older or just not hearing things. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when you like, yeah.
Maybe you want to control, you know, when your kids hear about more sensitive subjects, or else, you know, they don't want to learn about cussing when they're like in the third grade or something like that. You know, that's different things like that. That as a parent, you have slightly more control over, um, which, you know, do with that what you want. But in our case, I think it worked out well. Let's go through an average day though. We've talked a lot about like different reasons why and sort of the family dynamics and stuff. But what's just an average day in the life of like being homeschooled?
Ooh.
I know for Tabor and me, we'd get up around 6:30, and then that would give us time to get ready for the day and eat breakfast because we like to dilly dally because we didn't want to start the day yet. And then we were supposed to be starting school, I think by 8. Yeah, so about 8 is when we were supposed to be starting school. Sometimes we got there before 8. Sometimes we got there maybe a little late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad when you're late to homeschool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened to me though.
Considering
It's like you have to be out of your bed at least. I'm like, but I don't want to get out of my bed.
Yep. That was the way we were too, especially me.
Yeah. All right, sorry, continue.
So yeah, we get up. Our mom, we didn't have like a set schedule as far as like when we would do a subject. It was just kind of work on whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we have to get done that day.
Oh, okay.
Like we'd have to get a lesson of spelling done, a lesson of handwriting, a lesson of English, and so on. And we'd have all these different subjects that we had to do a lesson in. And if we didn't, and we had to work on it until we got that lesson done.
And lots of lessons and getting along sprinkled in throughout.
Yeah. So and we'd have time. Generally, we'd eat lunch around 12ish. That was about the only thing that was like consistent as far as the day went. It was pretty much just work until we got all our work done. If we took forever to do it, or like me, I'd like to stare out the window and think about all kinds of other stuff other than school, and so I was generally working until right around 6 o'clock, and my other siblings would be a lot more focused and get done around 4:30, and I'd be so
I must just be remembering later times then, because I always thought it seemed like Matthew was able to process stuff more quickly, and so he whizzed through his school and was usually done by like 1:30 or 2 or something, and I
It
would
started
be
happening
like,
more
and I
in
would
high
be like
school, yeah.
4 to 4:30 or something
Hmm.
usually. Sometimes 5, sometimes 3, kind of varied, but so it must have just been more latter days.
Yeah, in high school I started. That's when it finally clicked that if I just focus on what I'm doing, then I can actually get done. I think it also helped too is that once I reached high school, then I had a part-time job that I went to, and so then I had to like try to get my school done so that I could actually get to my part-time job that I'd start at
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon and stuff, and I didn't want to be getting off late in the evening and having to do more school. So I think I finally figured out kind of get focused and get it done. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So uh, whenever we got like super distracted and stuff, then mom and just start like fidgeting and jumping out of our chairs and stuff to go harass each other, then mom would send us outside for a half hour to burn off some energy so that we could get back to focusing on school.
It was a half hour. I thought
Generally.
she usually just made us run like 5 laps around the campus or something.
Yeah, sometimes she'd do that too.
Especially me, but neither of us were really very good for endurance. So yeah, 5 laps was enough.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tabor, you got anything else you want to add to that as far as a daily routine?
Not really, I don't think. Pretty much what he said. We didn't really have a typical day as far as order of classes, but just kind of
more like, so you had like a set, essentially you had a number of things that needed to get done by the end of the day, and as soon as you got them done, you're good to go. Is that pretty much?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we got done at 4:30, then great, we get an extra hour and a half to 2 hours off that we wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas me, I'd still be working at 6 o'clock. So
Yep, gotcha.
Yep.
How involved was your mom in teaching? Was it? I'm assuming it probably changed, from elementary to junior high and high school, but like, was it where she would teach you the lesson and then you'd have to go do homework, or were you expected to basically figure it out on your own and then she'd help you or correct you as you went?
Yeah, usually we'd have like workbooks, or for math we had like a DVD that we'd have to watch what the lesson was.
Mm-hmm.
And if we didn't understand it, she'd walk us through and try to help explain it and stuff. She was definitely more involved in our earlier years, and once we reached high school, then we started getting into more stuff that she wasn't really remembering, and so she wouldn't always, without watching the video with us, she couldn't really remember right off the top of her head how to do it. So we had to kind of start learning how to figure some stuff out like that on our own,
and then we could teach mom math.
Yeah. But definitely early on, she was a lot more involved in, especially since we didn't have quite as many like DVD watching. It was more read what was in the textbook, and so she could do that with us a lot better.
What about you, Ben? Daily life?
Well, it's really been a long time since I was homeschooled. It's gonna be going on 9 years.
Yeah,
now.
For sure.
So I would assume it was kind of a similar situation where it was like, these are the things we're working on today. When you're done, you're free.
Mm-hmm.
As for time I woke up, no idea. Morning routine, so much has come into my head and gone out that I barely remember much of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot I do remember. Like, for learning, like we did a little Matthew C. So like watched some of the Matthew C videos to learn math. Mom definitely helped me on like writing and reading. But then I think also like some math. I think maybe I just did like did the homework while she was gone. So it was kind of a mix, but mostly I'm guessing mom teaching and then being there as we did it. And not much of a this is how you do it. Okay, go do it.
Yeah.
I think it was like alongside as it went. But yeah, my memory is pretty foggy because it's been so long.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, my family, I think, was pretty. My mom had a couple things that she like always like taught or whatever. So we would generally we didn't always do this. Like it depended on the year, if I remember correctly. But we'd usually have like devotions in the morning or something. So my mom would read through those, and so that was like you have to be up on a school day in time to go do that. And other than that, we had a history curriculum that we worked through basically all of elementary and junior high, like um, just world history from way back in the BCs to the modern era. Like we went through that whole thing, and then once you got to the end, it'd been so long since you talked about the original stuff, they just started over. Um, and so my mom would teach that, and so my younger brother, he's this is like his last year of homeschooling probably. He'll be a freshman next year, and so she still does a lot of that. But I think my mom was pretty good about letting us do things independently. So like if we can figure it out on our own, or like with the help of like an online tutor or something, to just let us do that. And then when we don't understand something, then it's really nice to be like, hey mom, I have no idea what's going on, can you help? And then usually we can work it out between the two of us, what needs to be happening. But yeah, my daily life was pretty much the same. It was like once you got it done, you're good to go. And I don't know, I don't think that's how a lot of families are. I think there's a lot of homeschoolers who are still very much structured, and we have class, we do this from this time to this time. um, in general, the biggest difference I think though in the daily life is just the amount of time. I don't know anyone who like thinks their kid should be in school as long as I shouldn't say anyone, but in general I think homeschoolers tend to get done with their school faster than like public or private school. I could be wrong on that. Maybe I think there are a few families who would go longer. And like on the days of co-op was generally from like um 8 to 3, I think. So on those days we would have like an average school day for public schoolers and stuff, but in in general I think just on your own it's nice to be able to get done a little faster.
That is true.
Yeah. I
Um
think
go ahead, Matthew.
that this is Tabor.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
I can't. Your voices are hard to tell apart.
yeah, I noticed. Um, so I think that yeah, that's one thing that I liked about homeschooling was that like I had whatever time I needed for the subjects that I needed more time on.
Mm-hmm.
But then, say if another student needs more time on another subject that I can just whiz through, then I'm not having to sit and do nothing for that time.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
can move on and do other stuff, use my time that I free up with one subject to have more time for another subject that I need the time for, kind of thing.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, though, I do kind of want to talk about that. What are some of the like the unique or like cool or helpful experiences like that you were able to have as a homeschooler that you couldn't have at like a public school or private school? things like off the top of my head, I'm thinking about like field trips. Like we, sometimes that definition was very loose, where hey mom, can we go to the grocery store and buy some candy? We'll call it a field trip, and that only worked every now and then.
You got those? Whoa.
Once or twice. My mom was she was pretty cool.
I would say our mom was cool too, but we didn't call ours field trips. We called it, you have to go to the store with me because you're not old enough to be on your own here. We didn't usually go to the store. Matthew and I always hated the store, as far as I can remember, anyway. Yeah, we didn't like going, but we had to go. Yeah, we had to go. Mom had to get shopping done. We had to go. But so it wasn't like a trip for our pleasure to get candy or something.
I don't know if I ever.
Mom needs stuff, and so we have to go to the store.
I don't know if it was ever the grocery store. I think for sure I did, like once in a blue moon, like we'd get a field trip to Dairy Queen or something like that. So that was fun. But like in general, what are some of those like unique experiences that you can have as a homeschooler?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the field trips. Like, I mean, one time with a small group of homeschoolers, like getting to go to a guy's private apple orchard and pick apples.
Ooh.
Like that was cool. This one's was kind of smelly, but it was cool. We went to the York wastewater treatment plant, which
yes, the class. I don't understand why, but everyone has. If you're a homeschooler, you have to go visit the wastewater treatment. I don't get why.
Yep.
Even doing that was cool.
It was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I really don't remember any of ours, but
stuff like that. You have a little more freedom in the day to like pick up and go somewhere. Or like I don't remember doing a lot of out of the ordinary things like when we were homeschooled, but I'd say just in general you have the flexibility for that because you can take your school on the road, or you can take a break and then maybe back it up 1 week into the summer or something like that, or start a little earlier and then in the fall and then take a break and go take a trip.
Yeah, I was probably for sure. The biggest benefit of homeschooling is just there's such a high level of freedom in how you do it.
Flexibility, man.
Yeah, the flexibility is great. Where your mom and a lot, because there's still, you still have to meet some like government standards or whatever, but how you go about it is still, there's way more freedom than you would have in a public or even a private school. Yeah, and some of the field trips are like, okay, well, I don't know about that, but like, so we went on a lot of cool things. What was it, the Tabor Matthew? You guys went to the chalk mines, right?
Yeah, we did that twice.
Yeah,
we did that twice.
Which was,
I remember that.
I don't like, that wasn't anything mind blowing, but it was just so cool to be able to explore things outside, like with freedom.
They had go underground, explore caves. It's like, oh, this is epic.
Yeah,
and they had a whole bunch of trails through the trees outside of the cave too. I remember that. That was fun. And afterward, then we got to eat lunch and just kind of hang out and run around outside for a long time, and that was still considered part of the field trip because we didn't have anything else going on. We planned on having the whole day off from regular school for that, so it was just kind of like, hey, it was fun. Got an hour to kill before the next section or whatever. And then I remember we always had to write about our field trips too. Yeah.
Oh, you guys had to do that?
That was always a pain. I always hated writing anything.
I don't think my mom made me do that.
Oh, lucky. Anyway, I think that, like, looking back, it'll probably be nice sometime
to be able to open our field trip books or whatever and look through the things that we wrote,
and try to figure out what we wrote in the first place.
Gotta decipher your handwriting first. And then...
Yeah. Well, I think Matthew can speak for himself. But, yeah, I think that'll be kind of nice in the end. Because, like, right now, like, off the top of my head, pretty much the only field trips I remember are the one to the chalk mines. That was really fun. And I also remember actually having a field trip at the Central City Mall one time too, which was...
We also went to Pizza Hut one
also
time.
interesting. Oh,
that was fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got your personal pizza
fun.
Usually.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was gonna say, I think that they gave us free personal pan pizzas. For
Yeah. Well, we'd make our own. As kind of a,
Oh yeah, I do remember that now.
To kind of show us how it was done a little bit and stuff. They had all the personal pans lined up, and we just made our own, put whatever toppings we wanted on them ourselves.
Matthew's probably involved a lot of barbecue sauce.
No, at that time I wasn't as obsessed with barbecue sauce. Now I am.
Anyway, so apparently Matthew doesn't really need the written records of these things, but I think it'll be good for me anyway.
Yeah.
Looking back, I think it'll be interesting, if nothing else, just to see what we wrote.
Yeah. And see what really stuck out and what we remembered and really particularly liked about each field trip when we were taking it. It'll be nice. Yeah. So I remember some other field trips. I remember we went to honeybee farm. And this was just a guy had his own private honeybee farm. And since we were a relatively small group, because homeschoolers, we were able to actually go inside his house and stuff as he was like trying to explain about honeybees and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Tried a few
different kinds of honey too.
Yeah, a few different kinds of honey. He also had pieces of the honeycomb. That we got to eat a little piece of, and it was basically solidified honey. That's really all it was.
Basically crunchy honey, and it was really good.
It was good.
Almost better than just regular honey. I like the honeycomb.
Yeah.
All these memories are rushing back to Tabor.
Yeah, as Matthew.
Remember we went to a train depot at one point. The field trip itself was more boring, I remember, for me anyway, because I'm not huge on trains. Tabor liked that one.
This one I'm not remembering.
Okay.
But I can imagine that I probably really did like it a lot.
He did like that one. Chalk mines. Let's see.
We went to like that one place with like the sort of windmill thingies.
Oh, like the
generate electricity, the big generator.
Yeah, the windmill generators.
Yeah,
that was kind of fun.
That one was interesting. Yeah. Oh, that one for the radio station. I don't remember what.
We went to My Bridge Radio. I know.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Huh. We went to the TV station too, I think.
Yeah, we did.
That
was Channel 5.
Yeah.
Channel 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one was really cool.
You guys reminded me of now too, talking about water. That reminded me on a homeschool trip, I got to go to Ashfall Fossil Beds.
We went there too, yeah.
And then there was, I think also on that same field trip or a different one, we went to see a fish hatchery, and we got to see a water-powered grain mill and then it was like a historic grain mill. I think it was in Neely, Nebraska, and then eventually like it was converted to electricity, and now it no longer operates. But you guys talking kind of spurred some memories, and I remembered those trips.
Yeah, I remember that we went to a fish hatchery too. I don't remember the water-powered grain elevator at all. I don't
remember that. But I remember we all went to a fish hatchery at one point too.
What are the odds
That's kind of
that
fun.
we were on the same trip?
Yeah, I think we were. Come to think of it, I think we
I'm not
did have a
sure.
few where, because you weren't part of our homeschool group, but I think that you were kind of like, since you were kind of friends with us, we'd occasionally like link up homeschool groups or something, and or have some from other homeschool groups, or else we just happen to be going at the same time or something. I don't know. I think we pretty
Yeah,
much
I don't know how that all worked out, but somehow it did.
Obviously, if you go to just quote unquote normal school, like you're still going to go on a lot of field trips. You're going to get unique experiences. And yes, 100%, some homeschool field trips are a joke. Okay. just say it like it is. And beyond that, like there are some other unique experiences. We have the homeschool plays, which I won't get into a lot because once again they were often very cringy, um, but still
they're fun though.
it was fun. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is like you had a big like done well. You get a lot of community out of it, and so sometimes they were cringy. There were actually a couple that I remember being very good, and it was like, wow, that was actually pretty good. How did we do that? And then
Yeah.
there's some others that are like, yeah, that's but it did
Smile and nod, guys.
it didn't really matter because you were there, you were having fun with your friends. We'd have, I think, did we have homeschool picnics also occasionally? Was there?
Yeah,
Occasionally.
usually like at the end of the year.
Okay.
I think at least for a while.
I thought I remembered that several
Yeah.
years. And that was
Yeah, we did that once a year. Yeah.
great.
Which was great because you'd sometimes get to meet like other homeschoolers that maybe weren't as big on like the field trips and
Yeah.
stuff, but they'd go to the picnic, and
Yeah.
you'd get to meet some other kids that were in your homeschool group, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know you guys were part of our homeschool group. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
And sometimes like, okay, you guys keep saying homeschool group. Sometimes they're actual like formalized, like, hey, we are a group kind of, and then other times it's sort of just like, hey, you're homeschooled too, want to like come on our field trip with us, something like that.
Yeah.
Like I
think we
said,
maybe did that once in a while.
flexibility. There's just so much of it
Yeah.
when you're homeschooled. The last thing I want to kind of mention in regards to flexibility, well, actually, no, I just thought one other thing. So I want to know percentage wise, how many times did you do your whole day in your pajamas?
Mom was, especially early on, very she'd generally make us get dressed just for the sake of kind of teaching us some discipline about, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just always be in your PJs just because you're not going somewhere.
Yep.
You need to get dressed and start the day at some point. And so I think there was that. As we got a little bit older and we kind of figured out the discipline part, she started being a little bit more lenient and
And
like,
so then we'd get
okay.
an occasional pajama day, but that was just once in a while.
Okay.
I think that was more when it was like super cold out and Mom didn't really want to
Yeah.
like have to get up. She just kind of wanted to be like, okay, yeah, we'll do the day, but we don't have to act like we're going out or anything
Yeah.
and stuff when it's like snowing out and cold and nobody wants to have to change it. So,
But yeah, we generally had to get dressed and
Make our
always
beds.
had to make our beds.
Always.
Little bit of routine.
Yep.
A little.
Ben, do you remember off the top of your head?
I'd like to say probably very little still in the PJs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, but like when I was younger, I didn't like sometimes just like late mornings made like a late morning just being in PJs made me feel weird. It's just kind of like,
Or you'd rather change anyway.
yeah.
I brought it up. Maybe this is just me then, because I did it all the time. And so
I can imagine that.
my mom was super chill about it. Although I will say maybe not all the time, whether or not that's actually a good thing. Because it's nice to just be like, just to be relaxed and stuff. But there are some times when literally being in jeans or dress shorts or whatever can be more helpful in an odd way, because you feel like you're like, oh, I got ready for the day. I need to like hit this hard today as far as schoolwork goes.
Yeah, it helps. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. I know there were a few times where um, it sometimes felt good to actually get into actual clothes in it, because it made,
Yeah.
especially when I got older and actually cared about getting done and stuff, then I was a little bit more like, okay, I want to change into actual clothes now instead of just staying in PJs all day, just because it helps me, feel like I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
um, have to do something instead of, and when I don't change and just stay in PJs, then it's like, yeah, it's just another day. I don't really, there's not much going on, so it's fine if I don't pay as much attention to my
Yeah.
schoolwork as I normally would or something. So
Yeah, for sure. The last thing I was gonna actually say about homeschooling that I found was just crazy how much of a benefit it is to uh, be able to do stuff outside. Um, there's something about I think with just the fresh air and like smelling all the plants and stuff in the air and like hearing like birds and things like that. Just like being outside in nature, I think is just in general very healthy. Um,
yeah,
and so being able to like go outside whenever or even do your homework outside, like, I don't know. To me, I think that's another really good advantage of being homeschooled.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like back when we were really little, we always liked to get done with school and then we could go outside and play in the sandbox. We loved that sandbox.
as we got older, it's a trampoline.
Yeah,
That-
we got a
yeah.
trampoline, and that was really fun too.
Yeah.
Even though we generally didn't get along very well, I think we sometimes got along fairly well when we were just playing outside together. And
that was when we got along the best. That was when we were
probably
inside all day that we
helped eventually too. So
yeah, when we were inside all day, then we definitely tended to fight more just because we were going stir crazy.
I wonder.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if that's something that public and private schools could look into more. Is with kids don't always get along in school and things like that. And I wonder if part of it is just being cooped up inside and stuff.
well, I think I know, because like when I went to public school, that they had recess time,
Yeah.
and that was nice. I think the thing about homeschooling though is you can do the recess more at a time when the student needs it, as opposed to this is when we're having recess, and like, because like I know, kind of mid morning was kind of like my best time that like I would be able to focus the best, and then maybe a little bit after for an hour after lunch. So it was good to kind of be able to, okay, so about 2 o'clock, that's when my attention span's starting to really get bad. So I'd better, mom would send us out for a half hour or whatever to get me refocused, because that's when I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, with a regular school, this is when you go on recess, and but that's about when I'm starting, the most focused, and that's when it would be the best time for me to be doing school instead of out playing, because then I'm not as focused during the later times and stuff.
One quick thing though, Matthew, sorry to interrupt. I don't know if I'm just remembering wrong, but I thought you went to NC. You keep talking about public school.
Or private school.
Yeah.
Private school. Yeah, in Nebraska.
Okay. That's what. Okay.
Not public school.
I thought.
If I said public school, I meant private school.
I thought. Am I remembering wrong or what?
No.
Okay.
Matthew went to public school and he didn't even know it.
Yeah, I still don't know it.
Yeah, I do like that aspect of homeschool, like the freedom to get outside, because like school, like you can't just like ditch the work and say there should be no structure, just let the kids actualize as they will. But yet you have to realize that people learn in different ways, and like there needs to still be the aspect of kids just like get their hands dirty. They build a tower of blocks, they knock it down. They can go out, take a stick, and make a little stream. Um, like things like that, because like I mean, yes, the book work's important, and people need to read, write, and be able to comprehend. But like, there's a real world out there, and like you're healthier for it if you're also out there too.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One thing also about homeschooling is that then sometimes on really nice days or something, we'd go outside to do our schoolwork.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
then,
mentioned earlier.
You know, we're not like inside, you know, during the class period. We can actually go outside to do our schoolwork, and that I think helps us focus quite a bit too on those days.
Yeah,
because then it's not like we're stuck inside and looking out the window and being like, "It's so nice out, I want to be outside."
Yeah, and then you're stuck inside, which happened many times to me in high school.
Yeah.
I think we often like sat on the porch or whatever.
Yeah, on the porch.
So that then we didn't have the sun glaring off the pages.
that was a problem sometimes. Yeah,
that was miserable. But
the sun burned some of your homework.
No,
it's glaring off the pages.
Oh, glaring.
White pages.
Glaring.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said burning. I was like, what?
Oh no, no.
Yeah,
Where
we
do you
took a
live?
magnifying
Arizona or
glass.
something? The sun's like beating down, like that hot.
Yeah, we had a magnifying glass
each.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Anyway,
last thing on sort of this main topic of life as homeschooler, is there anything that you think you missed out on? Like, what are some of the bad parts of homeschooling, or are there any?
I think it all kind of depends on the teacher, because I do know there are some people that say they're homeschooling their kids, but they're not. They're either too busy to really do a good job of homeschooling and actually teaching their kids, and so it's just kind of a here's basically what you have to do, figure it out on your own, and they're not even there to help their kids along very well. Or you can like we had great parents that were interested in teaching us. So I think it all kind of boils down to the teacher, which same goes for public or private school too. You know, it all boils down to how much does the teacher care about teaching, and are they interested and invested in their students enough to be willing to take a little extra time to try to help a student that's maybe struggling in the subject or whatever.
But to a point, I think it also involves the student, because different people learn better different ways. So some people probably do learn better in group settings.
Yeah.
And so, like I said earlier, for me personally, this is Tabor talking, by the way.
Yep.
For me personally, I think it was very beneficial to homeschool, but I understand that some people it probably wouldn't have the same benefit. But yeah, so anyway, so yeah, I guess as far as downsides though, for me it seems like public schoolers and private schoolers are around people more, so they maybe get a little bit more of a social life. But at the same time, I definitely do have some really good friends. And I guess for me, I don't care about having lots and lots and lots of friends.
that I can't keep track of anyway. I'd rather just have a few friends that are really, really, really good friends. People that I can feel like I can pretty much tell them anything, kind of thing, instead of a whole bunch of people that I sort of know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely get to know just a few people really well as a homeschooler, because you don't, there aren't very many people that you know and really have very much contact with. So you just kind of have those few friends that you are constantly hanging out with, or well, I say constantly, but it's just kind of a, oh hey, once a week maybe, but you get to know them a lot better than you would if you went to a regular school and you maybe have a bunch more friends and you're in that group setting. People aren't always going to reveal as much as about themselves and stuff in a group setting as they would when you're just one-on-one and you're just hanging out one-on-one. That being said, yeah, socializing, I think, is probably the biggest thing that I missed and didn't like as well about homeschooling, was just because you don't get as much social time. But like I said, for me, especially early on, that was actually proving to be a distraction. Was because I had all these friends that I wanted to talk with, but I was wanting to do it in class time. And so that was kind of a problem for me. Some people, though, they could focus better in a public school where they have friends that they know, hey, once recess hits, I'm going to have all these friends that I can hang out with. And so I think there's pros and cons to the social aspect as far as that goes.
I think that even the social aspect kind of depends on the person, though.
Yeah.
I think that our family, we're really close, and so we are very, very tight knit.
Yeah.
And if a person messes with one member of our family, they're going to get an earful individually from each of the other members of the family. They are in for a long discussion about, you made this member of my family feel this way. I did not appreciate that. We will not do that again. Understand? Kind of thing.
That was the polite, shortened version.
Yeah. Like I said, an earful. And I feel like a lot of our friendships have been able to be very similar as far as very tight knit. We've gotten really close and we really have each other's backs, kind of thing. So for me, I don't think there were really any disadvantages.
Yeah, not overall.
I think through and through, for me personally, homeschooling was on all fronts the way to go.
Yeah. But of course, if you have a family that you really do not get along with at all, or parents who aren't really wanting to teach, that's where homeschooling, I think, would definitely be more negative than positive. And you'd wind up being forced essentially to spend all this time with family that you really don't like, and it might just cause more friction than if you're having to deal with them constantly. So yeah, it just kind of depends, I think, on the person and the family that you're talking about this homeschooling.
So you'd say in general, like, the two biggest advantages of homeschooling are the freedom and close camaraderie with your family, and then a few close friends. And in the end, those kind of outweigh all the negatives, you'd say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, flexibility and family and friends and stuff that are probably the biggest. And because your teacher is one of your parents, then they know you better, and so they're more likely to be able to know exactly like how you learn the best, and be able to come up with the best way to teach you in a way that you would be able to connect with and understand a lot better than a regular teacher would, because they have so many other kids they have to deal with. They just don't even have the time
and they don't know you as well to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do that. So,
But yeah, basically, I guess what you were saying as the summary isn't really what I was saying. I think it depends on the person. For some people, it might be the good things don't outweigh the bad things. For some people, it might be the good things do outweigh the bad things. And for me, I think that all the things that some people like would have been bad for some people were good for me, and so there were no bad
Okay.
things to outweigh
yeah,
for me.
Yeah, in your
Same here.
situation, that summary
Yeah,
was
but
correct.
again, it all depends on the people you're
Yep.
talking about. It's just, homeschooling is very dependent on the people.
I want to keep moving. So Ben, let's come back to you because we're in a unique situation where we experience both homeschool and private school. So when you look and compare those two, what do you think? What were some of the disadvantages of homeschooling?
Well, I don't. Since I wasn't in homeschool long, I don't know if I really saw
Mm-hmm.
disadvantages. Um, like I agree with. I'm probably gonna parrot some of what Tabor Matthews say, but like in my opinion and from experience, I'd say like if your parents aren't very involved in your schooling, that's gonna be a disadvantage. Or like, I mean, social interaction can be a disadvantage if like you're not getting out with homeschool friends, but
Mm-hmm.
like that is no issue if you're going to co-op or having to get together or two families like studying together or something. Like you're still getting interaction. I mean, it's not, oh, you're in class with these people you don't really know that well and you just know a few people really well, and you're rubbing shoulders with everyone in the hallway and you're going to your locker and it's crowded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not an essential experience for life because school isn't real adulthood life. Um,
Yeah, amen to that in a lot of ways.
I would say there can be uh, drawbacks of homeschool, but I would argue that the benefits outweigh um,
Mm-hmm.
the drawbacks. Like if the parents are taking an interest in the schooling, boom, you're good to go there. You can kind of tailor how fast you're moving. So instead of having a child at school that's labeled the problem child, you're just slowing down to meet his or her needs.
Mm-hmm.
You can go faster, learn different things, more family time, different kind of trips, that freedom, that outdoor time, and then also like you're just not absorbing some of the junk that you're going to get at any kind of school. Like
Yeah.
kids, kids are kids. They bring in the junk they're exposed to, and there's certain things like, I mean, they'll hear eventually, but like it's not essential to learn bad words, and why would you want your kids to hear that? And if you can avoid that for a while, like I'd say that's a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say very few drawbacks, and definitely mostly positive.
Um. So for me, thinking back, uh, it's not too far removed. I'm only freshman in college, but there are parts of going to private school. I went either. There's one year I went part time, but I went to private school all of high school, um, and there's parts of me that I'm like, I'm really glad I went there, and if I'd been homeschooled, I would have missed out. Like just think about some of my different teachers. Like I had a lot of teachers who were like kind of like or like whatever. But like like Mr. Rowe or Mrs. Flynn or Mr. Flynn, those guys that both Ben and I had as teachers, and looking back and being like, I learned so much from those people as unique people have been very experienced in a certain area, and I wouldn't have gotten that if I just stayed homeschooled. And even just having extra resources, I guess, like you are somewhat limited in homeschool of like how much you can invest money wise into like a science experiment or something like that. But in a public or private school, a lot of those things are already funded for. So it's not like, doing a science experiment. There's a lot of other alternatives. It's just having resources can be helpful if you want to do some interesting ideas, I guess. But yeah, in general, I think homeschool done well is the best because there's so much flexibility. It's the best method of schooling. Um, I would I'm trying to think ahead, like if I were a parent or something like that. But like I personally don't think I would go the route that you guys took, the Glens over there. But as far as homeschooling K through 12, I think there's something when your kid is mature enough where it's nice to give them a unique experience in private or public school, even if it's not for multiple years, even if it's just for like a year or something like that, just to give them some perspective, kind of. But that's me. I don't know if you guys would do that.
I mean, I can see that. I do know when I 1 year I had in college was absolutely fantastic because I'd learned how to focus on what I was doing in my school, so that was being around people at that point wasn't a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I developed some really good friends, and I know college is different from high school.
Yeah.
But I think it gave me a taste of what could have been as far as like um, having friends that you can hang out with and see in classes and stuff, and then be able to interact with them afterward or whatever. I think was really great for me. So like I said, college is different from high school, but it was kind of a nice
Mm-hmm.
change from homeschooling. So I would agree with you to a point as far as if you're, but it all boils down to the kid. Are they able to focus in a environment, or do they get distracted really easily?
Yeah.
And so
it's a very dependent on people, as far as both
yeah,
students and teachers. As far as the system goes, though, I like homeschooling more as a system because there's more flexibility with it and how you can
yeah.
tailor it to your kids. So that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to talk about, I think.
I just think it's interesting that, like with the current thing that's going on, this whole COVID-19 thing, now a lot of people are having to try
Mm-hmm.
to homeschool their kids, and I guess I kind of wonder how well that's going for those particular people,
Yeah,
and
Especially for those
how
that think homeschooling's a crappy way to go. And
like, well, now what am I gonna do? So, yeah, no, that's actually a really
uh,
interesting point you brought up because I've heard, I know quite a few people who that's kind of their reality now. Some
yeah,
schools I think are doing online things like over Zoom or whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I've heard that from some people, and they're kind of like, "This is different. I don't know." And somebody, I don't remember if it was on a podcast I was listening to or something like that. They were like, "This is such an interesting experience. Like, I have way more respect for teachers now. Why are they only getting paid like this little bit? All teachers should now." Oh, it was I just remembered now. It's I think it was John Krasinski on this. He's got like some good news. It's like a YouTube thing he's doing during all this COVID stuff to kind of cheer people up and not all be the world's ending bad news. And I think one of the
yeah,
things he said was all teachers should be paid like $10 million a year or something like that.
I don't know if our economy could afford that, but I definitely think teachers should get a raise. At
Yeah.
least if they've proven themselves to be good teachers, I do think, So I wasn't saying what I said earlier
Mhm.
at all to be like, ha ha ha, you public schoolers in your
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
Now all the insults you were throwing at us go back in your. I wasn't saying that at
Oh
all.
yeah, no.
I was just commenting. It's interesting, and I'm kind of curious now. Might have to ask some people how it's going for them personally. If they would share some of the same opinions of homeschooling, or
Talk to some of your there's probably some people at church or whatever who are normally public or private schoolers, and you can probably ask them how it's going.
yeah.
Matthew brought it up, and so I did want to run through this. In general, yes or no, I have 3 stereotypes. And I want to see if you think they are true or not. So, number 1, homeschoolers are socially awkward.
No.
Ben?
No.
No? You don't think so?
No.
Here, I'm going to also say no, but my caveat to that is sometimes you can tell that someone was homeschooled.
Yeah.
There are a few key ways of how they interact socially where it's like, I think this, were you homeschooled? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I knew it. So
Well, I think it's more because we don't interrupt each other quite as much. As I interrupt the end of your sentence there, um, and we tend to be a little bit quieter. I think those were the 2 main things I heard from people that
yeah.
asked if I was homeschooled, and they said, yeah, it's because you tend to talk a lot quieter and don't just interrupt everybody, and you expect people to stop talking when you're talking, or and you do the same thing to them and stuff. I think those are the biggest things, though.
In general,
I've had lots of people that just assumed I was public school, and then they say, so I'm guessing you went to Central City Public School, huh? And I said, no, I was homeschooled. And they're like, what? Oh, okay, that's interesting.
well, I think in general, most people, I don't know the exact statistic, but I think the majority of people are public schoolers.
Yeah, I think so too. Probably.
So, you just assume, oh, you probably went to public school, but nope. I think, yeah, what you said about being the 2 main characteristics maybe would be homeschoolers are generally more polite, I think, in how they interact socially. I said 2 main characteristics. I don't know what the second one was that I was going to talk about.
Quieter, maybe?
Quieter, yeah, I think. Quite frankly, though, the fact that people think they're socially awkward because they don't get out or anything, I think that's kind of baloney because
Yeah, for sure.
they're socially engaged with other homeschoolers oftentimes, and so while I would say there's probably a difference, you're going to have socially awkward people in public and private school also.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's automatically because of your environment that you're socially inept.
If one was homeschooled and you pushed it to the extreme, okay, maybe, but like by and large, homeschoolers are trying to interact with the world, and so yeah.
Yeah, because like even if you are homeschooled and you do like being homeschooled, no kid wants to know that they are their only friends they have. Is, oh yeah, my brother's the only friend I have, and yeah, no kid wants that. They're gonna do whatever they can to try to make other friends too.
My favorite is the homeschool high five where you just clap your hands as you're by yourself.
Now, see, one quick thing though.
Yeah.
Talking about stereotypes. I don't like it when people stereotype,
and I think there are a lot of stereotypes out there about homeschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I kind of feel like you just stereotyped then by saying, in general, homeschoolers interact more politely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a stereotype, and so it can kind of go either way. And so I think both
Well,
sides need to be careful about that and
yeah.
just.
Yeah, no, I don't want to say. I mean, there's a lot of, you got rowdy homeschoolers also. I think
For
they're
sure.
stereotypes are not necessarily bad because they're stereotypes for a reason. Where oftentimes it's because of either it's been socially accepted that this is the way it is, or else it's a stereotype because it's true for most people. So sometimes when
Yeah.
it's socially just accepted, then that can cause problems if it's not actually true. But I find
Yeah.
most of the time stereotypes are stereotypes because they are true by and large. So it's not to diminish the individual. It's just to kind of categorize a certain group of people.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that makes sense.
Unfortunately, right about now, Ben ran out of time to continue the conversation with us. So, in the end, I decided to just finish the conversation with Tabor and Matthew. And then I went back and recorded a small segment with Ben afterwards. So that's just to clarify why Ben's voice is suddenly absent. Anyway, let's continue. Second stereotype out of these three, we kind of already talked about, so I don't know if we need to really get into it, but just yes or no, homeschoolers don't get a good education.
No, I disagree with that as well.
Yeah, I 100% disagree with that. We, I would argue it's either equal or better. Like there might be one or two subjects where you might miss out on a little bit, but I don't. There's just no way you could argue that it's just a bad education unless you have again like a parent who's really not involved. In that case, you could get a bad
I
education.
think that stereotype comes from people who don't understand that we do, in fact, use government approved textbooks. And they just think that the parent is just kind of trying to teach us whatever the parent knows. And because we all know
Yeah,
that parents tend to forget what they learned, they, that, yeah, that's obviously not going to be good schooling. But I think people don't realize that we have government approved textbooks that we use, specifically designed for
yeah.
homeschoolers.
I don't know what my mom used for in regards to that. Whether I think it was more of you had to fulfill a certain um, requirement, I guess, because I think there's a lot of variety of still within that where
Yeah.
like you can still kind of teach what you want to teach. I think it was more if you just have to have in a lot. I don't know the exact rules. I should have talked with my mom about how you have to still meet some standards, but there's way more freedom with curriculum.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we still have to take the ACT or some sort of test that proves that we actually learned what we're supposed to and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so it's
You
not
guys
like,
both took the ACT?
nope. I
No.
guess. Oh, you didn't too, bro?
No.
Okay.
That's not required, Matthew.
I think
Okay.
that's for
You
college
have
stuff.
to
If
do
you
that
want
in
to,
order to be able to go to college or anything.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
If you want to go to college, then it's highly recommended you take the ACT.
Except I was able to take a little bit of gen ed stuff at
Yeah.
CPT, but
Yeah. Third stereotype: homeschoolers miss out on the high school experience.
Now define the high school experience.
Uh, I guess if you don't know what it is, then yes, you guys missed out on it.
I would say everyone has a different high school experience anyway, so
Yeah, I think what I'm referring to is like they miss out on things like sports and band and choir and a lot of those like team building, community activities, and extracurricular things like going to art contests and things like that.
Matthew and I had art contests in the sandbox, trying to build better castles or probably hills is what we built, I suppose.
I'm trying to think what else would be under that. Like, even just having that community bond of like being in classes with different people and having younger classmates, or not younger classmates, but like the seniors versus the freshmen, and like how those dynamics work in high school and things like that.
I can kind of see that to a point. However, like for us, while we may not have been doing it with like other classmates or something, we did sort of participate in sports. Tabor and I took taekwondo for a couple of years, and I'd say that counts as a sport. But I don't think that you really have to. I don't think that's a necessary part of schooling, because the main focus of school is supposed to be to learn. And so I think to have that be something that's leveled against homeschoolers as, oh yeah, you don't get the high school experience, you don't get to. I don't think that's really fair, because as long as we learn what we're supposed to, even if we maybe don't get to go to a dance or participate in school sports or whatever, that's not really what's important as far as what you're supposed to get out of school. It can be beneficial and make it more fun for the person, but if you had a good time and you learned what you're supposed to, as a homeschooler, I think even if you missed out on a few of these things, it doesn't really affect.
I was actually, I was gonna clarify that after saying or asking you guys, because I would say that is true that homeschoolers do miss out on the, what is generally considered the high school experience. I think they do.
Yeah.
The thing with that is that's not all bad. Again, a lot of the things kids are exposed to in high school is, you think about things like bullying or just learning about different topics or being surrounded by a bunch of raunchy teenagers. Like that's not all a bad thing to be missing out on. And part of it does depend on what you qualify as successful schooling, whether or not that should include things like sports. And I personally loved all the sports that I did. I'm glad I had that opportunity, and I would have missed out on that if I had been homeschooled in high school. And things like band and choir, like you, I guess my main point of it is that there's a lot of good things in high school, good opportunities. Some of them you could maybe look at like whether they're necessarily helpful in their current design, but I don't think again, like you were saying, Matthew, that like saying that they missed out on high school experience is something you can hold against them, because in the end, like I think Tabor, you said it was just everyone has their own experience anyway, so it's just different.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you guys ready you ready to play a game?
Yeah. Sure. I'm always ready to play a game.
So I'm gonna let you guys decide. Do you want to be a team or separate? If you do separate, it's gonna be a little bit trickier to work around, but I think we can still make it work. Either one.
I'm a team player, so I vote team, but I guess we can go with whichever Matthew prefers. I really don't have a preference, mostly because I don't know the rules well enough to know which I would prefer. So, team.
Okay, you guys want to be a team?
Yeah. Sure.
All right, you guys are a team. You are about to take a pop culture quiz that I made up. Prepare yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you a bunch of pop culture related questions. Some of them I don't know for sure. Maybe these will all be super easy and be like, Kurt, this test was stupid. Some of them maybe they're way too hard. I don't know. But we're gonna see if together you guys can work this out.
Okay.
So 5 questions about what would be considered pop culture, and then 5 questions about what would be considered homeschool culture.
Okay.
So this one's an easy one for you guys. You'll knock this one out of the park. We're gonna start with your category is movies. No, hey, let me ask the question.
I know.
Name 3 Marvel movies.
Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Avengers. I'm gonna say Captain Marvel would be one, not my favorite, but one. Captain America
Mm-hmm.
and Spider-Man.
All right, so you guys
Homecoming.
both knocked that one out of the park. You didn't even need a team up for that one.
Nope. We could mention a few more.
Yeah, I know you guys are big Marvel fans, so I knew that one would be hard. Music, okay? You have to name one song, so the song and the artist who sang the song by one non-Christian female artist and one non-Christian male artist.
We only have listened to Christian radio or Christian songs. Now, some of them, to be fair, might be non-Christian artists that have songs that vaguely sound Christian-like.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some out there, so we might actually know some, but we don't know the difference, really.
So, can you even... Let's start with a song. Can you name one song by a non-Christian artist?
I hear songs at work, obviously.
Yeah,
But
they play a lot of stuff.
I generally just am more focused on my work and wouldn't know the song name or artist name anyway. So I mean, I suppose I can guess.
All right, go for it.
Another
Matthew.
one, Bites the Dust, would be one, I guess. I think that's the name I'm assuming.
Matthew has named a Queen song. I'm gonna put that under male singer. He named a song from several decades ago, but that's okay. Can you get another one, Matthew? Can you name one by a female artist?
This might take a while. Longer than our field trip discussion?
If you can't think of one, then I'm just going to say no.
I'm sure I've probably been exposed to some. I just can't think of any right off the top of my head.
All right, so there you go. Music-wise, you guys have not broken out of your shell, which is not necessarily a bad thing, again, but just you simply don't know. All right, moving on to books. If anybody still reads those, I don't know.
What's a book? Like an ebook?
Sure, an ebook.
What's an ebook?
Who wrote Harry Potter?
J.K. Rowling.
Ooh, there you go. Tabor, did you know that?
Nope.
Tabor had no idea. Okay, so that's 1 point for Matthew. I'm breaking up your team a little bit.
What?
I'll give you the team score and your personal score.
Okay, I was gonna say, this is not what we agreed on, Kurt. Quit changing the rules on us. Anyway, go for it.
TV. You have to name one for each of these stations, okay? Name one Disney Channel show, one Nickelodeon show, and one Cartoon Network show.
Okay. What are the three again?
Disney, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network.
Okay. Disney, I'm gonna say Wizards of Waverly Place. I know that's at least on Disney Plus, so
Yep.
I'm assuming that would count. And I'm pretty sure that The Last Airbender
That's Nickelodeon.
It was Nickelodeon.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is Nickelodeon.
Yep.
And you said Cartoon Network?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what cartoons we watched. I mean, I know what cartoons we watched as kids, but I don't know like what network they came from or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
PBS Kids on the Cartoon Network at all? Or that's
No.
different?
That's a
Something
completely
different.
different.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember any off the top of my head. I know that I remember seeing that we've seen some shows from Cartoon Network. I just don't remember what they are.
Okay.
But,
well, that's actually pretty good still. You guys got 2 out of 3. I like that. I figured you'd get Disney. I didn't know if you'd get Nickelodeon, which I didn't even think about the last.
Ironically, those are both shows that we watched after we moved out on our own. So
well, that's what I'm thinking about. Also,
Yeah.
it's like how much of you guys since then like started to kind of become more integrated into like more different pop culture things.
Well, I think part of it's mom and dad didn't really want to pay for a subscription to Disney Plus or anything else, and didn't really want us just looking online for random shows.
Disney Plus is fairly new, isn't it? So I
Yeah.
don't think Disney Plus would have been around.
You would have been on like cable TV probably back then. So I don't Cartoon Network. So Cartoon Network shows would be like I thought of one, but I have to look up because I don't know it super well either because I didn't have cable. Teen Titans Go, that's a Cartoon Network. Steven Universe, Gumball guy too. Those are all Cartoon Network shows. So
okay, so I guess we probably didn't watch anything from Cartoon Network ever.
Probably not. I don't remember
None
for
of those
sure.
sound at all familiar.
I mean, naming off 3 shows doesn't really count.
Well, yeah,
sure. But
I don't remember for sure where Looney Tunes was. Looney Tunes, I think, might have been on Cartoon Network.
Well, if Looney Tunes is on Cartoon Network, then we have seen something from Cartoon Network.
We haven't
sort of
really seen
not really like the TV show. Yeah.
Oh, is Pink Panther? Is that on Cartoon Network at all?
No. I think that was a like NBC, ABC show.
Okay. SpongeBob, maybe?
SpongeBob was Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I knew that.
Yep. All right. Your 5th question is internet. That's your category. What is the internet? No, I'm kidding.
What we're using now.
What is TikTok?
I'm guessing a site that does stuff.
Okay, that's not enough for a point.
Yeah, I didn't figure. But that's all I got, man.
Is TikTok? I think that's sort of similar to YouTube, isn't it? To a point.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it is.
Okay.
But it's kind of a way you can like upload videos. Or is it more like you can watch different movies and stuff on it?
No, you're closer to the YouTube one.
Okay.
So I don't personally have TikTok because I think it's dumb, but it's like a social networking, kind of similar to if you guys know what Vines were. Basically just like...
You showed us what Vines are.
Oh, that's right. Basically just like really short, like just a few second things. I think TikTok is more music related oftentimes. So this is like a site for short videos and things like that. That's coming from someone who does not own TikTok, but so I could be wrong also.
So normally at the beginning of these podcasts, you ask people about qualifications. Are you qualified to be asking these questions?
So I thought of all the questions and I was able to answer them. So I'm not asking you things I don't know myself.
Except you seemed a little uncertain about TikTok, was my main thing.
I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, I'm not wrong. Your score for that, you had a potential 10 points. That was the total. and you scored a. Gotta do my math. Hopefully, my years of homeschooling have served me well. You got a 7 out of 10
As a team?
As a
Okay.
team.
70% think
You passed.
bad.
There you go. Tabor, I don't think you passed on your own. I think you got like a 50%. Matthew, yeah, I think Matthew, it's just the same score as a 70.
Basically, I scored all the points.
Yeah, except for Tabor also knew some on his own, so.
Yeah.
At least about Marvel.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, homeschool
Do you want me to quote a Marvel movie for you?
No, you guys know them well. Homeschool culture. This one I don't actually know if I'm curious whether you know these either, because these are in general. When I say homeschool culture, these are either more Christian related things or more like generally regarded as nerdy things, maybe. I guess we'll see. So once again, the category is movies. Name 3 movies by Sherwood Films.
I'm pretty sure they're the ones that did Fireproof and Facing the Giants and Flywheel
And Courageous.
and
War Room.
Mom's Night Out.
Okay.
And
So I'm going to give you a bonus point for that.
Only one?
Yeah, I'd say we at least get 3.
Because I did not know that that was the name of the studio. I knew the movies. I just didn't know what the studio was called. So you get a bonus point. You're on a great start.
3.
Name one song by one Christian female artist and one male Christian artist.
Toby Mac, Eye on It. Female.
Okay.
Mandisa Overcomer.
Yeah. Mandisa Overcomer. I want to try to come up with one on my own. Let's see.
Yep. You too, Tabor. See if you can get one on your own.
Okay. Well, for my male artist, then I'll go with Newsboys, Miracles.
Okay, so Tabor got 2. Matthew?
Thy Will by the
I know.
Hillary Scott.
Yay!
Scott family. I think Hillary Scott is Hillary
I don't
Scott.
think I've heard of that one, but okay.
I don't really like that song, but you know.
I like the drums.
Okay.
Drums were done well in that song.
Your next one is book. Who wrote Lord of the Rings?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
I think everybody knows that.
Most people, yes.
Okay, except for the 2 people that, they don't count.
I think everyone knows that except those that don't.
Well, to be fair, Tabor didn't know who wrote Harry Potter, and most people know that, so there you go.
Yeah, but are you calling me a dummy? There's a difference between Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings is just infinitely better. So, agreed.
Have you guys read Harry Potter?
Nope. I watched a half hour of one of the movies.
That doesn't count then.
It showed me enough. I didn't really care for it.
Nah, you got to read Harry Potter to really get into it, man. Although I think the later movies are supposed to be pretty good. But books are almost 95% of the time, books are better.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that.
TV. Name 3 shows that were on PBS Kids.
The PBS Kids, yeah, I believe would be like Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues? I don't think Blue's Clues
Barney.
was on PBS Kids.
Okay. Would Barney have been maybe?
Yep, Barney's one.
And
yeah, Blue's Clues was
Caillou.
Nickelodeon.
Seems like that one was a little odd.
What was the second one you said?
Caillou.
Okay, you're up to 2.
Let's see. What is that? George Shrinks or something, I think. There was like a kid that was shrunk or something.
No, Sesame Street's one big one that's on PBS Kids.
Okay, so you got the 3. Can you get the 3 individually?
Okay, so I mentioned, you mentioned Blue's Clues, and it's
Blue's Clues doesn't count.
Okay, so Sesame Street,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned Caillou, so I've got one.
You've got
the
two.
Dragon Tales one.
Yep, we both have two.
Okay. Let's see. Bob the Builder.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, I think that I need to double check. I think that was PBS. Okay, just making sure. For some reason,
Bob the Builder was PBS Kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, which two of mine? Because I mentioned three, so which two of mine were on?
You currently have Barney and Caillou.
Okay.
One more. Come on, Tabor. Do it for children across America.
They're depending on him. They're in deep trouble. Let's see. I think Super Science Kid or something.
Yep, that was on PBS.
That one I always thought was weird, even as a kid. Yeah.
My three favorites off the top of my head were Curious George, Clifford, and Arthur. But I could go into them all. There's so many good shows I watched growing up. Last one, Internet. Come on, guys, you're on to a perfect score right now. What is Blimey Cow?
I think once again I'm gonna have to leave it at a site that does stuff.
Nope. That time you're not even close.
Yeah, I don't even have a clue.
Okay, so Blimey Cow is a YouTube channel, it's run by this guy and his brother who were formerly homeschooled, and it got I won't say like super ultra popular, but it's a very popular channel. I think it has like 500,000 subscribers. So nothing like off the charts, but still very popular. And they're famous for doing these bits about. I think I've probably shown you a video about like you might be homeschooled if. That was one of their classic videos where it's like, if you can save the zip code to Colorado Springs, because it was always at the end of Adventures in Odyssey episodes, or things like that. Just so they've done a lot of homeschool related. Yep, there you go. A lot of homeschool related ones. So you didn't get the last question, but you got the bonus earlier. So you got a 10 out of 10. You are certified homeschool cultured. Congratulations.
We knew that already, hence the reason we're even qualified to be on the show right now. Come on, man.
You just gotta double check. You never know.
Well, maybe you should have done the double checking before we started this, because
okay, that's a good point. You could have just been making this all up the whole time.
Exactly. I mean, if you seriously doubted us, which I don't know why you would, but I'm just saying.
Okay, so Matthew he is a certified homeschool cultured. He is a passing, pop culture. Tabor, I think you got to work on your pop culture just a smidge. You gotta catch up a little bit, just to say. But you don't necessarily have to either. You can just stay in the homeschool culture realm, I guess. Just whatever you feel like, man.
Thank you, I will.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'll have to see how Ben does, and I'll put his score in later on. But
yeah, okie dokie. Okay.
Thanks so much for doing this with me, guys. You got any other questions for me?
Not really. One unique experience. If we've got a little more time, I know it's been going a while.
I'll give you like 2 minutes. We'll call it
okay.
good.
I'll speed run through this. Okay. So another unique experience from homeschooling. As far as making friends, it's interesting because we knew you through the homeschool group, but we didn't know you, I guess. Except at one point, for school, Mom was having us write a letter to someone. And so I was having trouble deciding who to write a letter to. And so then Mom suggested Kurt, and I thought, oh, yeah, Kurt's an interesting guy, I suppose. Sure, I'll write a letter to Kurt. And so then you replied to my letter and made a pen pal request, and so we were pen pals but lived in the next town from each other. And,
Yeah, that was fun.
and often we ended up didn't we end up doing often where like we would write our letters and then the next time we would hang out then we would just hand each other our letters anyway rather than mailing them.
I don't remember for sure. I think that happened a few times. I
Yeah,
still have those tucked away somewhere,
Me
but
too.
like I think it was we would write a letter and send a drawing also.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was really interesting. I think our drawing skills improved slightly, but not much.
Yours were always pretty good. Ours were in dire need of assistance.
Mine were relatively good.
Yours compared to mine
anyway. Compared to your guys, I'd argue mine were better, but you know,
significantly better. Like we could tell exactly who you were drawing.
You could at least tell what it was.
Yeah, and it looked pretty good.
I'm kidding. I could tell what your guys' were too. Like they weren't bad.
It was like a stick figure with maybe a sword or maybe a spoon or something.
We drew a lot of Nintendo characters because we were very into that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about that sometime. We'll talk about how Nintendo brought us together.
I'd be down for that. Sure.
Matthew could talk for forever. Yeah.
Zelda. He does talk for forever. So.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're good. Thanks for having me on. That was fun.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you guys said yes. I wish Ben could have stayed for the whole thing, but you know, some people are they've got, you know, schedules and things like that they actually have to stick to and don't have all the time in the world to do whatever they want.
Yeah, poor Ben.
It's been cool though, just a lot of free time recently. Like I know COVID kind of sucks for a lot of people, and it's terrible, but
yeah,
it does create unique experiences, and one of them for me has been having more free time. So
yeah, I think that to a point, like some people have been all panicky and stuff, and so like there are some people that are just a lot nastier after all this, but I think to a point it has kind of deepened our sense of community and like we're in this together, and so I think a lot of people are a little bit more willing to reach out to a point maybe.
Yeah, it's I think the most interesting thing I've noticed is that for me personally anyway, I think people have been more intentional about talking and having conversations with others because you can't really do it right now. It's kind of one of those like you don't realize you miss it till it's gone kind of thing. So it's like, hey, we should talk sometime, and then like actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's been really good. It's also interesting how many people I've heard who want to start a podcast. I think that's funny. Like I was doing this before COVID started, but like I've had at least 2 people ask me like, hey, I was thinking about starting a podcast. Do you want to like, got any advice for me or something like that? And I was like, oh, sure, man.
My main experience with COVID-19 has been mostly just because I work fast food and stuff. Most of what sticks out to me is just the contradiction. People who are like panicking about COVID-19 and like Subway. I had one guy that came through the drive-thru and he hadn't placed his order on the kiosk, and when he pulls up, I said, "Hello, how can I help you?" And he's like, "Do you really expect me to touch that filthy screen with this disease going around?" I'm like, "I can take your window here at your order here at the window."
You're gonna take his window?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and he's like, "Oh, okay." He seemed a lot happier about that. And so I take his order and I'm cashing him out, and he's like, "You really need to put up a sign on that kiosk that says, people can order at the window because, that's how people get the diseases by touching that filthy, stuff like that stuff." But the funny part is the guy then proceeds to pay with cash.
Yeah, which has been,
Which is like one of the dirtiest.
exchanged around everywhere.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, this is how you get COVID-19.
I don't know. I'm not I'm not a medical expert, so I don't want to say that's how it's spread. I do know how germs in general are
Probably
spread,
not.
though. So
But I'm just saying,
yeah.
yeah.
If that's all you guys got, I'm good to go. I think let's call it good here. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and hope you have a great day.
Well, thanks for having us on, Kurt. Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
See you later. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Well, that was certainly a lot of fun with Tabor and Matthew, and that kind of concludes the main part of this discussion that we had. However, as promised, I did go back and do a brief segment with Ben. He also needed to take the culture quiz thingamabob, so I went through that with him and recorded this brief segment. All right, Ben, are you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
It's quiz time. All right, we're gonna start with the pop culture questions, 10 points possible, and yeah, we're gonna get into it. So your first question is, Ben, we're gonna start with movies. Can you name 3 Marvel movies?
Yes, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Captain America: The First Avenger, and Thor 3: Ragnarok.
Boom, got it. I don't know if it's actually called Thor 3 Ragnarok. I think it's just Thor Ragnarok, but it's
Thor Ragnarok.
You're good. Okay, next one. Music. You have to name one song by a non-Christian female artist and a non-Christian male artist.
Shake It Off by Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And Stitches by Shawn Mendes.
Boom. Got it. All right. Books. I don't even know if I question whether this is even a pop culture question because no one reads books anymore, but who wrote Harry Potter?
Oh no, my sister just read this. Wait, J.K. Rowling.
Oh, okay. Nice save. You were just keeping us on our toes. That's all you were doing. All right. This one, I don't know. This one kind of just depends. We're going to go into TV. Okay.
Oh, great.
So, can you name one show each, right? For each of these that was on Disney Channel, one on Nickelodeon, and one on Cartoon Network?
Okay. So Disney, iCarly.
Okay. Wait, hold up. I need to verify this. You can use that show, but not for Disney.
Okay, so iCarly is Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Okay, Disney, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
There you go.
And Cartoon Network, I don't know, Adventure Time.
Ooh, I think.
Or
I have to look these up because I don't know for sure on some of them.
Phineas and Ferb. How about that one?
No, Phineas and Ferb is
At Nickelodeon.
That one's Disney. Actually, you're good with Adventure Time. I was pretty sure you would.
Yo, let's go.
So there you go. Nice. All right. Ben, you are almost officially pop cultured. You have to answer one final important question.
Okay.
Your category is internet.
Oh, great.
What? What is TikTok?
TikTok is a social media app that you record like short videos of you doing whatever and lip syncing to music, and then yeah.
All right, I think that's good enough for me. Ben, congratulations. You are 10 out of 10 pop cultured, according to my
Right.
homeschool culture list. now, now for the real test, though.
Oh,
You are
okay.
you are pop cultured, but can you still align yourself with homeschool culture?
Oh no.
So, movies. You have to name 3 movies by Sherwood Films.
Facing the Giants and The Flywheel and Fireproof.
Boom. I said those same ones when I was making up this list.
Nice.
Also, you get plus 1 point for uh
Thinking like
not
you.
for not knowing, or rephrase. You get plus 1 point for knowing what Sherwood Films was without asking. So, there you go. I knew like all the ones that like they had made. I just didn't know what the name of the company was. So, you got a
Yeah,
bonus point. All right.
I think.
I think you're gonna knock this out of the water, man. I shouldn't be surprised. You killed it in Quiz Bowl, but here we go. Music. Name one song by one Christian female artist and male artist.
Okay. Me Without You by Toby Mac and Set the World on Fire by Britt Nicole.
Boom. Nice. Dude, I did the same artists. um, book. If you mess this up, I will end my friendship with you. Who wrote Lord of the Rings?
J.R. Wait, no, I don't remember his first. Ronald Roald Tolkien with the J at the front.
Oh, okay. I think is it John?
I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
J.R.R.
Okay, nice.
I know it's like Ronald Reuel or something like that.
Yeah, it's some sort of crazy name.
Yeah.
Back to TV. Can you name 3 shows that were on PBS Kids?
Curious George,
Mm-hmm.
Arthur, and Word Girl.
Boom, boom. All right. Last one, Ben. This is, if you get this, you are 102% cultured in life.
All right.
Internet.
Hmm.
What is Blimey Cow?
Blimey Cow is a YouTube channel by homeschoolers who poke fun at certain stereotypes of homeschoolers, but also try to just create overall clean content for YouTube. And they're Christian
Wow.
too.
Wow. This man, I tell you, he scores 21 out of 20. He is insane. Ben Jansen, congratulations. You are cultured.
I thank you. I've always wanted to be known by that.
There you go. I like tried to make up like some of them are like, yeah, no duh. But like other ones I'm like, you might not know. I didn't know if you'd get the TV one. That was the one that I wasn't sure about.
Oh, the
But
TV show? Yeah, that. Well, you kind of helped
yeah.
me out once. You
Yeah,
wheeled down.
I gave you a little bit of help, but overall you still did it. Yeah, man, that's all I got for you. So thanks for doing that
Right.
with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for encouraging me and saying that I'm both pop cultured and homeschool cultured. I was aiming for that.
Yeah, you are totally cool cultured. That's what you are.
Sweet.
You got anything else?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Well, thanks for doing it with me, and sorry you had to, bail a little bit early, but I guess we'd already gone like an hour and a half, so we kind of hit the limit anyway. So,
Alrighty.
all right, man. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Congratulations to Ben on his perfect score. That was quite impressive, although I should not be surprised. As I mentioned, Ben kind of destroyed everyone when we had Quiz Bowl at school, so there's that. I also learned 2 unique things about myself while recording that segment with Ben. One, I invented a new idiom, which is called knock this out of the water. I will let you decide what it means. I also learned that the only correct response to when someone correctly responds is boom, apparently. I don't know why, but maybe their answers are just so dynamite, they're the bomb that you have to answer with boom. I also learned listening back through this while editing that, man, I really want some honey right now. That trip to the honey farm, man, I love honey so much, and if I could go somewhere and eat honey for like an hour and a half, I would do it. So that sounds amazing. And also, I really want to try honeycomb. That also sounds amazing. The only aspect that I think we failed to mention that is of supreme importance in homeschooling are snow days. I want to know, were you guys allowed to have snow days when it snowed? Because normally a snow day in public and private school means, hey, the weather's so bad we can't travel to school, so we're not having school today. However, when you're homeschooled, most of the time there's not a problem with weather in traveling from your bed to like the kitchen table or the family room or wherever your school workstation is. So my mom was pretty fickle about snow days, and sometimes they happened because the other school had it, and other days they didn't happen because, you know what, Kurt, you don't have to worry about going outside. Your school works right at home. Anyway, so I want to know if you guys were homeschooled, were snow days a thing or not? But really, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening once again. If you liked this episode, please give it a like. Or, a dislike if you hate it, I guess. Please consider subscribing. Also, as this is kind of a weekly show that you ought to be able to expect. Currently, that's the plan I'm working with. Videos are a little bit up in the air as far as what format they're going to be taking, but so far I'm really liking this once a week podcast thing, so I plan to continue doing it. So, check back every Wednesday afternoon. But that, ladies and gents, will be all for this week. If you tune in next week, you will hear from a returning visitor. That's right, we're having a guest back on the show. But who is it? You'll just have to wait till next week. This has been Kurt, signing out. Off. Out. I don't know. It's the same thing. Signing off. Maybe. Maybe I'm just gonna, knock this thing out of the water.